Good evening and welcome to you all. It's been a month since, or this is the fourth Sunday since I did a live last. And I hope you're all well, all keeping well. And as I will explain at 7:30, this could be a record for the longest bowl in history to be turned. For those of you that do know, last time I did a live with Pete, because Mark couldn't make it on that occasion, we were plagued with a lot of technical problems that were, on this occasion, beyond my control, because there was a major problem with an IP provider in London and Luton, and our postcode, I found out afterwards, was amongst the postcodes that were affected, so we had a lot of trouble. And any of you that are here that were with me last 3 weeks ago, the ones that came back, doggedly came back when I had to disconnect, thank you very much for your loyalty. I do appreciate it. So again, as I'll explain when I sort of go officially at 7:30 live, this could be the longest bowl in history. I'm not going to be champing at the heels of Mark Beckett or of Wayne the Woodturner, and certainly not Jimmy Clues. However, anyway, let's say good morning or good afternoon and good evening to you all. Good evening, Adam of I Love Woodturning. Good evening, Wayne, and welcome. How are you? And Dave Oatey, good evening to you. Mark the Gentleman Woodturner, hello, didn't know you were coming. Hello, Brian, how are you? And welcome. Pete Twisted Trees, welcome. I'm glad you made it as well. And Dave Gatton, good afternoon to you and welcome. And Lawrence Bagager, good evening to you and welcome. As well as to Steve Robbins. Hello, Steve. How are you? Nice to see you. Anthony Green, good evening. Tommy's Workshop, good evening. Trevor, the Hobby Turner, how are you? And welcome. James Crawford, good evening to you. Trevor P. Hobby Turner, good evening to you and welcome. Clint of Wood Dancers, good evening to you, Clint. And also to Anthony Green, I said hello. Tony Easton, good evening to you. Terry Bartlett, good evening, Terry, and welcome. Ronnie, good evening to you. Have you noticed I didn't try to pronounce your surname? Good evening to Tony Rudkin as well, and welcome. Chris Nunn, good evening. Craig B, hello. Anthony Green, I think I said hello to. And Marcel Duret, good evening to you, and welcome. Thank you. Good to be back, actually. And Paddy Bean, good evening to you. And how are you, sir? Welcome as well. The reason I haven't been on for a while is the usual culprit work, but also I've been on holiday for a couple of weeks. So that's my excuse. I did promise my wife I wouldn't do anything wood turning orientated while we were away, but I did earworm for Steve Cavill on a Friday night, which went down okay. She's a good egg. I will do an official introduction later, but we have joining us tonight Pete, and that's Mark Beckett of Mark the Gentleman Woodturner. Kim's allowed him out. That's Mark, and Pete Twisted Trees, Pete Ravenscroft. Say hi, Pete. Yeah, there you go. There's Pete. But Pete's slumming it in the house with his well-ampled, stocked bar behind him, so we could get some funny stories. Just catching up again, going back on the good evening, Malcolm. Douglas, good evening to you and welcome. Robert Dolman, good evening. RG Turns, good evening. And thank you. That's very nice. I actually, no sound for you. Yep, it is. Here we go. Technical issues. Is it the aux I've got to have on as well? No, I've got my mic and desktop audio, and that's it. Just two things. Ah, NDI source. That's not on. Right, try again. Could you try again, please, lads?
Hello,
Can you
good
hear us
evening
now?
and welcome.
Can you please let us know that you can hear Mark and Pete?
Can you hear us?
Give us a song. Thanks, Craig. I think I've sorted it.
You don't want me to sing the little sign out straight away?
We could sing a Welsh national anthem.
No, still can't hear us.
Oh dear. That's no good. Can't hear the others. Hang on, no, Craig. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Can you try now?
Oh, yeah, they can hear us
They
now.
Yeah, you could hear him now, right?
Yeah.
There's that bit of delay. That's fine. That was my fault. I hadn't turned something on. My only defence is that I've been away for 3 weeks. This is 4 weeks now. Okay, that's great. Hi, Tony. Yeah, all okay now? That's good. Thank you very much. Well, I'll wait till 7:30 to introduce the lads again, I think. Don't you think? That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, why not?
Good evening, Paul. How are you? And Anna, good evening. Tony Rudkin, I think I said hello, but you can have another one. I'll give you a Graham Vedette, good evening to you and welcome. Anaphylaxis, good evening. Good, that's thank you. Al Ward, good evening to you. Dave Vaughan, good evening. I think I've caught up with the chat now. It's really strange. I mean, it's only been, 3 or 4 weeks.
Richard Phelan's in.
Yes, I've said hello to Richard, I think. Now, the only thing is I'd like the lads and you to keep a track of things because I'm getting this funny, the stream's current bit rate is lower than it's recommended. So I don't think that's a problem, but hopefully we won't get the same problem we had last time. Okay. A couple of minutes to go before we go actually live. So what I'm going to do is just put I'll leave you with the lads at the moment and an empty picture. So I'm just going to...
I'll just say, if we do have any technical issues tonight, it's not my fault. It'll be Pete's fault this time.
Yes.
No, it's Mark's fault. Always Mark's fault.
I'm just going off camera.
We know what you're doing. I don't do it anymore. I've given up.
All I can say is Kim must have a long-lasting impression on you.
To be honest, mate, I've been doing it for 9 years now. I just got bored with it. Couldn't be bothered with it anymore.
Oh, good for you, mate. Good for you. I'm back.
It saves me 40 quid a month.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly... when I gave up smoking and started vaping, it was saving me, I mean, especially today's prices of tobacco and tailor-made cigarettes. Phenomenal.
Giving you a Volgage a week?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was doing 40, 50 a day. So, that would have cost an arm and a leg. I think all the overtime that Stagecoach could give me wouldn't have covered it nowadays.
Copper Owl Woodturning's in. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Rob. Copper Owl, how are you?
Clint at Wood
Good
Dancers.
evening to you. I've said good evening to that gentleman, and I refuse to say it again. No, I'm only kidding. Good evening again. How are you?
Ivy Woodshed's in. Hi, Ivy.
YV, good evening, YV. How are you?
Andrew.
Welcome. And Barry, good evening, Barry. How are you? Okay, I think I quite expect to have a depleted audience tonight because it's been such a while since I've been on, and it's finishing off something I started last time, which is obviously not of a great deal of interest, but we hope to keep you interested during it. Well, it's 7:30, so I'll say the official good evening. Good evening and welcome to everybody. It's a great pleasure to see you all here, and thank you very much for coming. Joining me this evening are my trusty pit crew, and they are Mark, the gentleman woodturner, Mark Beckett.
Hi, everyone.
And Pete Ravenscroft, Pete Twisted Trees.
Hi, everyone. Should switch any second.
There you go. Okay, so
hello, everyone.
And Mark is joining us under great duress because his partner Kim allowed him to come on, which I think is brilliant. Thank you, Kim. And if you're watching or listening, Kim, love you very much. Thank you very much for allowing Mark to help me out because I need all the help I can get. Lovewood, good evening to you as well and welcome. and welcome to everybody. Well,
Mike, you're hoping because she doesn't even watch me on my YouTube channel.
yeah, well,
You got no
I,
chance.
I can understand that. Don't be quite so sure about that. Okay. So today is going to be finishing off what I started a month ago. So I'm going for the world record for the longest turn bowl. I had this ash blank, which I finished the outside of, but due to really immense technical problems the last time, it just took me like 2 hours to get that done because we had two cut-offs and had to come back again, and thanks for those that did come back and doggedly supported me. So we're left with the inside to finish and turn, and obviously I'm going to be doing some embellishing, and I'm going to be using Hampshire Sheen's bronze embellishing wax. That's the extent of my colour. But what that tends to do is to enhance the grain. And in fairness, the grain isn't too bad on this piece of ash. It is quite prominent, but you'll see the difference. So I'll go straight to the overhead, and the lads will ask me to change camera if they feel what I'm doing would be better seen through another view. So I'm going to be putting on the old schmuck. One thing I will say is when I'm sanding, because I can't wear my respirator, obviously with headphones, I'll be using my Trend air filter. And before anybody says anything, these filters are not 100% effective when you wear a beard because they rely on a really good seal, but it's far better than nothing. And although I'll have the extraction on, I just want to reduce the risk of dust getting on my lungs, so I'll be wearing that. So I'll sound a little bit and look a bit like Darth Vader, which has got to be an improvement to my usual look. Okay, so if I go to this one, we're going to mount the bowl back in the chuck. Now bearing in mind this was turned, it's moved very slightly, I should imagine, just through atmospheric changes and so on and so forth. But I have a feeling that's running really quite true. So I'm quite happy with that. Okay. And what I shall do is bring up the tailstock, take away the cover off the tailstock. I always like to bring the tailstock up when I can, just for a bit of extra support, just while you're doing the initial smoothing off of the face. Now, I quite often use my 1/2 inch bowl gouge, but I started this. Let's just make that a bit longer. Can't get it in. There you go. I started this with a 3/8 bowl gouge, and for the newer turners and intermediary turners, I do maintain, and I think a lot of people agree with me, that you can do 98% of your turning with a 3/8 bowl gouge. So I started, as they say, so I'll finish with the 3/8 bowl gouge. I shan't use the 1/2 inch. The only difference really is stability. When you've got a 1/2 inch bar instead of a 3/8 bar, you get that bit more stability for the work which requires it. So lathe down to 0, turn him up. All I'm going to do is face off the front just to get it a bit more even, and that way then I can turn the speed up a bit more. I'm at 850, don't really need a lot more than that anyway, so I'm going to do a pull cut to start with, just across the face of the work. Nice and easy, no pressure, just let the wood come down onto the edge. And really it's not essential to do this because, okay, it looks a bit prettier and it looks a bit nicer when it's turning, but the idea is for speed really. If this was really out of true, the flatter and the more even you can get the face means you can increase that speed, which will give you a better cut. So I'm just using, no, actually, a good point there. If I go to the overhead, you can see it if I don't want to put anything on top because it's got a finish on it, but I can assure you it's running really true. It looks a bit off because obviously the face isn't true, but yeah, it is working. It hasn't moved much at all. Is that the one? Is that a better one, do you think? Right, okay, that one there. Or we could actually have that. No, we don't want that. We could have that where you've got that in done. Yeah, okay. So again, as I say, this is really just, I'm using just to the left of the nose on the left wing and just bringing it back just to even up. And that my gouge, my bowl gouges, excuse me, my bowl gouges are approximately 55 degree. That's my 3/8 and my ½ inch. I do have a couple of older gouges which I've got at 65 degrees, and that's for getting around the bottom if I can't get that maintain my bevel at the bottom of the bowl. So basically 55 degrees I like for my bowl gouges. Right, we'll go back to that again. Hope that answered your question. Now, that was a pull cut. You can also go in with a push cut, not a problem at all. Just get your cut there, get your bevel and start to move in. I quite like doing this because what it means is I can stop and look when the face is not square at the moment, and it gives me an idea of how far down I need to go to get a nice even edge. When you're doing a pull cut, it's not quite as easy to gauge that. So if I just go in with light cuts, and bearing in mind I'll go to the overhead for that, the bevel is pointing in the direction I'm wanting to go, which is basically at parallel to the headstock. Just a light entry cut, and then get your bevel and move in. Now that should give us the edge, I think. There we go. So that's got to be the edge is quite nice there. So my next, for me anyway, is to decide on what sort of wall thickness I want. And I want this to be quite a chunky functional bowl. So I'm going to go in a bit further, but not a lot. Let's just square that up there. Now, as I'm looking at that, approximately, that's what I think I'll be looking at. So now I can remove the tailstock, because although it's not completely flat, I'm not bothered about that. I can remove the tailstock now and start to hollow out. Everybody has different ways of doing it, and funny enough, the lads or the pit crew and I were discussing earlier on, before we went officially live, various turners, turn quickly, etc. I am not a quick turner in anything I do, but it is not part of my I don't need to turn quickly, and I find if I turn slower, it gives me, number one, more pleasure, and number two, you can get a much better surface from each cut. And bearing in mind, if I go in, I can take big cuts. Okay, I've got to take a big cut now. So I'm taking a big cut, which is fine, not a problem. But I tend to take each cut as a practice cut. So the more practice I get, and I keep harping on about the fact I'm not what I would term a bowl turner by any means. I can turn bowls, but I'm not a bowl turner. Every time I pass the gouge across the work, it's a practice cut. And sometimes I feel like now I need to lower the tool rest slightly. So I'll do it. I'll stop, lower the tool rest and carry on. Now, being that this has got quite a thick, it's going to have quite a thick wall, I'm not worried too much about the mass in the middle. I like to keep the mass in the middle, obviously, for stability, but it is not as important as when you're doing a thin wall bowl. Let's get rid of this. Sorry. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I quite agree. But it must be wrong if you agree with me, Mark. I find it a bit worrying, actually. Now, I'm not sure at this stage, again, I'm not sure whether that is going to be thick enough, that wall, for me. I don't know. I might make it a bit thicker. I don't know. I have to make a decision at some stage, obviously. So what I'm going to do is just go in a bit further. Yeah, and I think that's going to be it. So we're going to be looking. You're kidding. Here we go. Here we go again. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, desktop audio's on. My headset is turned on, and that's it. And when I go to ND, if you talk,
And you should hear us through your headset.
I do. And the NDI source is showing on as well.
Hello. Does that work now?
Right, can you hear the guys now? We're having another problem with sound, apparently. Let's turn the lathe off. And obviously it's most important that you could hear me, but joke. Can you hear the guys now? Good evening, Brian. How are you? Right, you can hear now. Now, is the problem then
When you change
when I change cameras? Which shouldn't be, should it?
Nope.
Now, if I go to that camera, you can't see the lads. Now, the lads are going to talk now. Right, can you hear the earworms? You can hear them. Malcolm is saying they can only hear you when you're on screen. Right, so you can hear the guys now. No sound. Right, okay, so now there's going to be sound because they can see you. Right, sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. We have another problem. I don't know how to sort it. Hang on a minute. If I go into audio settings, again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for this audio. Desktop audio. Should the desktop audio be, at the moment, it's got desktop audio device not connected or available. So that's in the properties, Pete. So should I have that on my headset?
Yeah.
Right, I've got that on my headset.
Basically, whatever setting you've got in this scene should have in all the other scenes as well.
I think something's changed while I've been away. Anyway,
Desktop audio is default in every scene. All you need to do is make sure it's fed into your desktop audio. Should be.
yeah. Okay. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Philip Greenwood. How are you? And welcome. Bit of a sound problem here with the lads. Okay, I'm going to go to my face. The lads are going to talk now. Could you please see?
Mary had a little lamb. His fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mike went, it was sure to follow.
Can you hear them now?
You hear me as well?
No, it's echoing. No, it's echoing now.
Right, so turn the NDI off and leave desktop audio on.
I can only turn.
So how does that sound now? Are we still echoing?
I can only turn NDI off. If you're on there.
Yep, it's all working. It's all working now. Perfect. Yeah, echo's gone.
Yeah, the echo's gone now because you're on the screen. Has the echo gone now?
Has the echo gone now?
Hi, Dave. How are you? Right, the guys are talking now. Can you hear them now?
This is Pete talking. So you should be able to hear me without an echo.
Thank you. Okay, everything's good. Okay, sorry about that, everybody.
Brian's just messaged me. It sounds good.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. We'll have to sort that out. Okay, so we'll go back to this one where you can see both. So if you can't...
They can't hear us, Mark, because we can't get a word in past this bloke anyway.
Right, okay. So I'm looking at that as being my wall thickness. So I'm just going to tidy that little edge up there. And that's where I'm going to be starting, in here. That's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm really doing this to give me an idea. Yeah, I like that. So we'll just tidy that up. Nice.
Joseph has asked, are you going to do captive rings on that bowl?
I've already done them, I'm afraid. If you'd have got here a little bit earlier, you would have seen me do it.
Adrian Olsen's just arrived. Hi, Adrian.
Evening, Adrian. How are you? And welcome, of course. Okay, so just nice cuts. And as I was saying earlier on, you can take big cuts. Because there's quite a bit to come out of here, I will take fairly heavy cuts just to get rid. Now, what's going on there? I'm losing my bevel. Not coming round quick enough. So take that in there. My left hand isn't doing anything apart from putting downward pressure on the tool. I'm just hogging away wood, basically.
As you were saying earlier, you can do every single cut as a half-mil finish cut.
Yeah.
Or you can get through the job. For a hobby turner, wood's expensive. Everyone at, say, 2 mil. Don't quite half mil, but 2 mil cut. A piece of wood lasts you longer. It costs you less.
If I'm taking wood away now, you can see. If I do a light cut, let's just look at the surface on here. There is obviously an inclusion there, so that's going to be making my tool bounce because that wood is harder than the rest of the wood. If I take, I'll just shorten the handle a bit. If I take a light cut here and just a little bit of wood, and just follow the contour around. Oh, I know I want to mention. One of the problems that not a problem, but one of the situations that people say they get into is when they're going around here, they start to get juddering. Now, that could be one of two things. The main reason for that is that you're coming off the cut, okay? But because you're concentrating to get your cut like I'm doing here, okay, I'm pushing in, or the wood is coming down on, and if I don't swing my handle to go with the contour, it's going to start juddering because I'm almost stopping the gouge from proceeding on its way because I'm not coming round quick enough.
Richard Burdett was asking, how did you dry the blank and for how long?
This blank is an old piece of ash. I would guess it's been in my lean-to for 7-8 years maybe. So it's well dry. Wood that I tend to term dry anything between 12 and 8% for the atmosphere and the humidity and temperatures that I experience where I live. Obviously, if it's 12%, it's not gonna it's gonna move a little bit. I like to think of 8%, but I don't often get 8%, to be honest with you. I turn it before it gets there. But I would venture to suggest anything under 12% you can turn with minimal of movement, depending on the type of wood it is, obviously. I don't
Adrian
know.
Olson's asking for the chat generally, really. Any of you good folk go into the Wizardry in Wood at Carpenter's Hall? I'm not.
No, I won't be going because I'm working.
Just let Adrian know you're going.
Ruby Claire will be going. I know that for a fact.
Yep, Ruby's going.
I think the most important thing, like with anything when you're turning, is to concentrate. See where you're getting the cut. The cut's nice now. Now my object is then to move the tool and keep it in a position where I maintain the cut, the shaving, from the same part of the wing. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of vibration there because I'm pulling too hard, I'm pushing too hard. So just nice, easy movement, get back in the swing of it. I've been trying the method for doing this, putting your arm out, the Stuart Batty method with a 40-40 grind, but this obviously isn't a 40-40 grind. But the principle's the same, but the problem is you have to move the tool with respect to its aspect to the work more than you would if it was a straight 40-40 grind. But the thing I try to practice, I mean, normally I would swivel the headstock, but the reason I'm not swiveling the headstock, not everybody can do that. So I don't think it's fair, if you like. But if you, I don't know if this shows it well enough, but if you put your body over, I can't show, I haven't got a camera to show it.
Two quick questions while you're just doing
Okay,
that.
go on. Yeah.
One is, what speed are you turning at, please?
It's 890 at the moment. I haven't actually needed to up the speed. 890. Yeah.
Alex of the Wild, that was from Anthony Green. Alex of Wild and Things says, could you have used a bowl corer to save the wood?
Yes, I could have.
You could have.
The answer is I could have, but not very good for a demo. It's
I
not. There's
think
not
you've got
much.
some videos out on that, haven't you, Mike?
I have, yeah. I've only used the Cora a few times, but I have saved a lot of wood. But when you're doing a demo, there's no point in getting the curvature of the inside of the bowl and then doing a demo and turning a bowl, because the job is done. It doesn't help anybody to have an idea of what you need to do to get the inside of a bowl cleaned out. But yes, under normal circumstances, even a piece of wood like this, I'd have got at least one other bowl, possibly a little tiny one as well, out of it. So the answer to your question is yes. I would have used the bowl corer. I quite like that design, you know. Right.
I don't. Cutting.
So again, we'll just get rid of that. One of the most important things is that you're not trying to guide your tool with this hand. This hand is just to give pressure through the tool onto the tool rest. Now, what I was saying before is that if I can turn this off, this is why my demos take so long, because I always stop to talk and explain. But if you can see now that my body is staying where it is, okay? I can't get the camera to show that actually. So I am moving the tool to my body to go round the bowl, as opposed to leaning my body over here, which is what I would do now, and then moving my body around with the tool to get the curve that I want. But the thing is, when you're doing it like this, where you have, if I actually go out a bit, yeah, is that still in focus? Yes, I think it is. Right, what I was saying is this, and again, please bear with me, the more experienced turner, this is purely for the newer turners, is that if you hold the tool out here, okay, you want to be at your most comfortable at the end, but your tool should not actually touch your body by the time you come round there. Now that looks rather easy, it's like a rowing motion, but you have to keep it on the correct plane to maintain the cut all the way around. The other way is to get your body, which is the way that a lot of people, including myself, you got your body over the bedways. You want to make sure that you're leaning into the cut so that you don't fall off it. So you go round, 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 round. Your weight transfers from your right leg to your left leg, and you're into the middle. So if I do that cut, where I'm leaning, my arm is slightly away from the tool. Okay, so I'm going in now, swinging the handle, transferring my weight, keeping an eye on where the shaving is coming off the tool. My right leg is now straight and my left leg is bent and into the middle. Nice and slow in the middle. Take off the little nub, which I missed. There we go. Take off the little nub. Now the other way is this way, where my body stays where it is. Now I find this quite difficult. And I'm really concentrating now. I am not, my hand is coming in on the rowing motion. You can hear that juddering, it's because I'm falling off the cut. My body hasn't moved at all. And that I find needs a lot of concentration. But it is a very effective way of cutting. And apparently when you have a 40-40 grind, which I haven't got, never have had, that is a cut which is preferred by Stuart Batty. I tend to do a combination of both of them. Okay, so now we just want to get the walls down. So I'm virtually going in with my bevel pointing parallel to the bedways. And that was wrong. So we start again. Try to take too much. And again.
A couple of people have joined. Gentle Turn, Norman Greenwell.
Martin, good evening. Okay. So let's.
Jennifer Strawton's just joined.
Evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Jennifer.
Okay, take some more out the middle. Now, well, the other thing you can do so that you're not hanging out quite as far is to turn the tool rest in slightly. I might be a bit high there, actually. And as I keep on saying, in my defence, I am not a bowl turner. So, okay.
Mike, you on a webcam with this main view?
Sorry?
Are you on a webcam with this main view?
No.
It's a camcorder, is it?
Camcorder.
Yeah, why?
Bring it in a little bit.
Yeah, well, I had it
I
out.
wonder if you could actually zoom right into the bowl to catch the end of the tool as you do a full cut.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, well, I moved it out so you can see my wonderful body in action.
Yeah, we don't want to see your body. We'll
Well,
see
you
your
fell up
top.
to see me body now.
Yeah.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
It's only so much of an Adonis that we can take.
Now you slow down, obviously, towards the middle. Swing the tool round. Actually cutting to the right of the nose on the right-hand wing. And again,
Kenny and Buster West have joined.
Good evening, Buster. How are you? Sorry I didn't get back to you before, Brian, on that question, but I will get back to you. Or did I get back to you? I'm not sure. Now I'm taking a big cut there. So what I'm doing now is trying to even up the wall thickness. And seeing the transition, which is quite good. Bearing in mind we've got these inclusions here which are making it bounce a little bit. So I'm okay to about here, and then I want to come round. And this is, it's not fine tuning, but this is where you start to, well, I do anyway. I haven't as yet been able to do a bowling. Fell off the cut there because I wasn't concentrating. What sets bowl turners apart is that one cut. The one cut from top to bottom. And because I have spent else, I'm really into it now, and I want to learn. And I love turning them now. But don't worry, not every demo is going to be a bowl.
Nothing wrong with every demo being a bowl.
No, nothing at all.
What are you saying, man?
Nothing at all. Far be it for me.
That's what I live on.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just change have a fresh edge. And
Questions of the chat in general, but I think you can answer this one, Mike.
sorry. Yeah.
Love Wood is looking at the KS FU 180 as his next lathe. Do you recommend that one?
Right. Sorry.
You had before, wasn't it?
Let's have a little break.
Oh, you had the 230 before.
Yeah, I had the I had the 230 before this, before the XL. But what I will say, talking to people that have had Stratos, no, I'm not knocking any other manufacturer, far be it. All lathes are pretty good. Some, in my opinion, are just a little bit different, let's put it that way, in a good way. That's diplomatic. I would not hesitate to recommend any of the Stratos range. That's from the small, the Twister, right through to the 230 and to the XL. I've had two of them and I'm really pleased with them. But that's not to say that other lathes are not good as well. Okay, so just carry on now around. And
Yeah, YouTube is back on as well.
Yep, YouTube's back on now. Andrew Hall has joined.
Sorry, I missed that, Mark.
Andrew Hall has joined.
Oh, Andrew. Good evening, Andrew, and welcome. How are you? The banjo man. A man of many other talents as well, I assure you. Now, again, for the newer turners out there, when you're turning on your own, don't be afraid to do what I'm doing now. Nice and slow. I'm pretending now I'm not demoing, all right? Now, if I get something going on, like here, I'm starting to get a bit of judder, stop and think, what am I doing wrong? Why am I getting that? You're most probably, I'm just coming off my bevel slightly, and I'm not swinging my handle quick enough, for want of a better word. So those are the sort of things, when you're turning on your own, you need to watch everything you do. And while the shavings are coming off as you want them to come off, that is what your ultimate goal is, to carry on doing that to the end of the cut. And what you need to do to alter your stance or alter the presentation of the tool to get that cut that you're looking for. And believe me, the more bowls you turn, the better it will be. Now what I need to do is some refining cuts out of the way of the camera. Keep on knocking it with my right. Now I'm not getting a good cut there. Now I'm getting a lot of judder in there, and I think, yeah, I've got a bit of hardwood there.
Buster's asking, are you using a fingernail grind, Mike?
Yeah, well, I've just swept back wings, Buster. Just standard swept back wings. Okay. You see, what this actually is a good point, a good time to. This is my 65. This is my 65 degree. I wouldn't think it's really necessary in there, but to prove a point, I think it has got swept back wings, but it's a 65 degree, and I should think that that'll give me a smoother ride, because I'm keeping bevel contact right the way through. I mean, it's not a very deep bowl, but it's about 3.5 inches. Sorry.
It's also a bit more comfortable to use as well, because you haven't got to lean over as far.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. No, did you see? This is a point. This is a good point. I don't know if you noticed it was doing this. The reason for that, nothing to do with the wood, it's me. I wasn't bringing my handle, as I was saying earlier on, I wasn't bringing my handle round quick enough to go round. Because as soon as I brought the handle toward me, I'm getting a nice cut. Okay, now what I was saying earlier on, if you start going in and getting the cut, and you're pushing, you're taking wood away, now I should be turning and swiveling slightly, and that is giving me a much better cut and a better experience all through. So I can carry on with that now. Trouble with my 65 degree is they're sort of a very short flute, because they're old.
Trouble's arrived. Benjamin's arrived.
Good evening, Benjamin. How are you? And welcome.
Good evening, Ben. I just think it was a bit too quiet in the chat. Now you're here, that'll change.
What was that, Pete? I missed that.
It was too quiet in the chat. They were all being very polite.
Yeah,
That'll change now, Benson.
Nice and slow. Take off the middle. Okay. Now this is where we start doing a bit of refining. I'm quite pleased with the shape.
Whilst Mike's doing that, I've got the uncomfortable part of the evening where I wander around the pub with a pint glass in my hand, rattling at you all to see if we can get some petrol money to get home with. If you look at the top of the chat, there's a link to Mike's Buy Me a Coffee. If you'd like to support the channel, then go and buy Mike a coffee. It's much appreciated.
Indeed it is. I'm just taking light cuts now. Slowing up when I go, slightly lifting above centre and down onto centre.
Craig B says, don't mention petrol.
No, I shouldn't.
I went out for a ride on the bike this morning, emptied the fuel tank, pulled into the first garage I saw, filled it up again, no problem at all.
Yeah, I think it depends where you are. We'll take 2 minutes. We'll take 2 minutes, have a chat. I haven't had a chat for a while. Yeah, round here, I haven't actually been out. We went for a 50-mile run yesterday. Went for a 50-mile run to a gallery and back again, and I got a full tank of petrol, so diesel, so that's okay. But then you do start thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I better try and get some, just top up. But every garage was absolutely chocker. I mean, there were tailbacks, it was ridiculous. I mean, luckily I've got another 300, 400 miles left in the tank, so I'm not bothered. But I can understand people who've got long journeys ahead of them for work or whatever. They want to get topped up, but it's not necessary to panic buy because there's plenty of fuel. But there won't be plenty of fuel if people buy ridiculous amounts that they normally do, on more frequently than they normally do. It's the old toilet roll syndrome during the beginning of the pandemic. There was no shortage.
I tried to get some petrol yesterday, couldn't get any round here. Silver lining is, if I can't get home tomorrow, I'm stuck at my beautiful girlfriend's house.
Oh God.
Terrible.
Excuse me, has anybody got a sick bucket? Thank you very much, Anna. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Really turns out it's my Lathe home, not here.
We'll take it with you. Oh dear. Okay, we'll have
Question, gentlemen.
Yes, Martin. Good evening.
Did you cut the left side of the gouge on the last cut?
No, that is something else I'm going to attempt. Not because I want to be a clever boy, but we have discussed this, and I say I've had discussions with people. I tend normally to cut to the right, on the right wing, basically, right throughout the cut. Now, far be it for me to disagree with my learned friend and close friend, personal friend, Martin Saban-Smith, who is a bolt turner. He was saying at a demo or one of the meetings of Wood Turning 360 that he now cuts like Stuart Batty and Glenn Lucas on the left wing, but he never used to. Now, the big problem with cutting on the left wing, or I say big problem, for the less experienced turner, there is a much higher risk of a catch, because the wood is coming this way, and you're on your bevel and your edge, and you've only got to be slightly off, and you could get a catch. That's number one. I have looked at how I turn, and I don't. I start with the left. I have tried and succeeded the last sort of that much to the center, transferring over to the left side. And yes, it does work, obviously. But again, if you don't get it right, there's a good chance of a catch. So if you want to try it, I suggest you have the lathe on really slowly and just see what transpires, But
Mike,
in
can you mute NDI on that view?
Yep. Okay.
So fix that then.
Well, you were getting
an echo.
Right. Okay. For the next one, we will have
I would add to what you've just been saying that I was taught to cut on the left wing.
Right.
And
okay.
to me, it's completely unnatural not to.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always cut with the left wing. I don't get a catch by any more than normal. And I think it's just like anything else, it's practice. Once you get the muscle memory together, then it's fine.
I think psychologically as well, possibly the fear of a catch, because obviously you are on a knife edge, literally. I mean, you're rubbing the bevel, or you're floating the bevel, and you're cutting on the edge that is nearest to the spinning wood. The other way, psychologically, you're cutting on the opposite edge of the tool, and psychologically, I would think you're thinking, I've got a bit more safety there. When in reality, you get a catch on both, obviously. But I think there's more chance of a catch on the left wing if you haven't done it before, because you can go in too hard, you can go in too low, whatever. But I don't know. I'll try a cut with the left wing and just see what happens. And if it goes west, it goes west. Okay. So I am now cutting on the left wing. I'm getting bouncing. Why am I getting bouncing, Pete?
You're on the bevel.
Not on the bevel. Okay, let's turn this down. This could be a little lesson for me and everybody else, I suppose. Okay, so I'm now rubbing the bevel, the left bevel. No. I need to practice here, I think.
Yeah, it's muscle memory.
Yeah, I need to practice everything, but definitely that.
So just the way I was taught, the person that
Yeah, sure.
showed me how to cut a bowl did it that way, so that's the way I cut. I don't think it matters.
That's me cutting as normal.
Whatever
which
works
is,
for you.
yeah, that's good. Okay, so I'm happy with it down to there. Just got a little bit of, just going to give it a quick go on the Pro Edge, because there is that, the inclusion there, and it is making the wood around the area is quite solid compared.
Jury's wood turn has just joined. Hi, Jury.
Good evening, Jury. How are you?
Hiya.
That's the one.
Benjamin said he has no idea what wing he cuts on. I don't think it matters on walnut, so you're fine.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, it's always worth trying new things safely. But if what you do, I know it's an old cliche, but if it works for you, the way you do it, and it's safe, carry on doing it. That's the way I look at things, rightly or wrongly. Okay, so we're okay to there. We just got to sort that out. Okay, so I'll go back to my
Are you perchance starting your cut on the inclusion?
Say again, Pete.
Are you starting your cut on that inclusion?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you were.
I should really go before it and go into it or after it.
Yeah. Dave Rothwell says they've got a comedy music group in Canada called the Arrogant Worms. Me and Mark will fit right in with our quips.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
We are contracted to be rude to Mike at every opportunity.
Yeah, but maybe I should audition for them as well. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon you should.
Yeah. Okay, I am surprisingly happy with that. Maybe just a tiny bit. One more cut. There's a slight.
You've got so much room in there for one more cut. Don't you worry about it.
Oh no, not on about that. I'm on about. I realise I'm not going to. Well, hopefully, not going to go through the bottom. And fall off the cut now. That should be it. Oh yes, as Jeremy Clarkson would say. Oh yes. Right. Okay. So that is the, for all intents and purposes, the turning done. I could, if I wanted to be really finicky, just do a little bit of shear scraping, just to get rid of a couple of little tool marks that will sand out. But It's very light. Don't put your fingers in on film when it's spinning. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So the next thing that we're going to do is to sand. Now I know sanding's boring, but unfortunately it's all part of the job. And as I've said before, and lots of other people have said as well, if people only spent, hang on a minute, I don't like that. If people only spent twice the time they normally do on finishing, they'd have a better end product.
You mean 8 weeks?
Pardon?
You mean 8 weeks?
Yeah. Thank you. That was not really called for. Okay, what I'm doing here,
Contractually obliged, though.
I'm just doing the rim at a very slight inward aspect.
I've said this so many times in my lives. When somebody picks a bowl up who's not a wood turner, it's the first thing they feel.
I don't know,
Rib.
what is the first
The
thing
rib.
they feel? And the next thing
Not
they
a
do,
wood turner. The first thing they do when they pick a bowl up is their thumbs fall over the top of the rim.
yeah,
They pick a bowl up.
and the next thing is they'll look underneath, if they're a turner.
They're a turner, yeah.
Only
Well,
turners look underneath.
If they're a wood turner, the first thing they do is look underneath.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to bring the up here.
The thing is, if you want to sell a bowl, don't count for a wood turner because they don't buy things.
No, they want it.
They do. They only buy tools.
They want it for nothing.
Turners only buy tools, wood, and lathes.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, now I know from experience that you can actually hear when the extractor's on, so that's okay. Now what I'm going to be doing, I normally power sand the inside of a bowl because I find it easier, but I sanded the outside with inertia, so I shall do the inside with inertia as well. I was going to say that I was going to end up looking like Darth Vader, so I can't put my full respirator on, obviously, because of the mic and the headphones. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to put this on, which is a I've got to go off air for a minute. I could. I think you could hear me because I have tested it, but I do sound a little bit.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'll get my lightsaber. Okay, so I'm using, and this isn't a plug. It's not a shameless plug, I assure you. I've got arthritis in my hands, and this is what I've used for many years. The Pro Sander from Simon Hope. A couple of people I know have got this, which is the original design, and it is fabulous for old people like me. So that is what I'm using today, and it's the Hope Original sander. It's bigger, it's easier to grab hold of, and to actually change the angle, all you do is twist the handle, move the head where you want it, and then tighten up. Brilliant. Okay, so we'll start with 120.
Change camera, Mike.
No, I'm glad I didn't change camera there because I was trying to stick the pad on the wrong way around. Right, okay.
I'll try to catch.
So hopefully you can still hear me. Right, okay. So again, this is so easy to hold. It's just really a pleasure to use for me because I'm an old fart, you see. Okay.
I actually have the original, which has got a blue handle.
Sorry?
One of Simon's prototype ones.
What I should do is take the padding off because it's not really conducive. That's better. So the reason I power sand normally is when you get to the middle, if I turn this down, turn it off, as you get to the middle, you're getting very little inertia. Because obviously the bowl is turning a lot slower there. So what I'll do is do to where I'm happy, and then I'll just use my drill. But I can't recommend this for us old folk. It is really easy to use and it doesn't tire your hands out. So I'll now just quickly go over to the power sander. And the reason, as I say, I like using the power sander is when you get to the centre of the bowl, it's still going to be doing the job. Still a little bit on the edge there. But without a shadow of a doubt, on the outside of a bowl, I always use the inertia sander. At 180. And I have to say, which I know is an old cliche, again, when I'm not on camera and I'm doing it, I do take quite a long time to get everything exact. But for a demo, you could fall asleep. I mean, good God, Wayne would have about 2 dozen bowls done by now. Even Mark would have at least 2, wouldn't you, Mark?
I think so, yeah.
Thank you. You can always rely on your friends to support you. That's why I don't pass
Oh,
the glass.
sorry, no, I mean, of course I wouldn't, Mike. No,
No,
of course
you
not.
wouldn't. No.
All right, well, I'll script them.
Just a 320. Now I'm going to go to 400 because I'm not using Yorkshire grit for reasons I did explain. And for those of you that fell asleep when I was explaining that, you can't use an embellishing wax with Yorkshire grit because the idea of an embellishing wax is to absorb into the grain, to highlight the grain, if you will.
JP Woodworks just joined. Hi, JP.
Hey, Jamie, how are you? Mr. Jamie
Hi,
Page.
Jamie.
Mr. Jamie Page. Okay, now the 400.
I've got to... I'm not going to apologise. I'm just going to do the edge again. I went a bit hard on that, and I've got to... It's almost better.
Chisky Wood Creations has just joined as well.
Good evening and welcome.
Steered in Grill says, anyone tuning in now would think, blimey, Bane from Batman's let himself go.
Oh, I
Bane's
just went
father.
through the bricks again, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Most important discussion in the chat is chocolate suggestions that Michelle has just given to Brian. Are they milk or plain? Was that a whole pack or half a pack?
Actually, what we were discussing earlier on, gentlemen, I could mention that now, couldn't I? I could shame him into saying yes, couldn't I?
You
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, not now, because we can hardly hear you with the mask.
No. Hey?
Not now. Wait till the mask is off.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, of course, yes. You don't like my Darth Vader?
JP is asking, did he miss the stem break off this goblet?
Yeah. Yes, this, I'm going off air again. Let's come back to my face.
Can't beat a respirator. So you can't beat a respirator. Whew. Right, okay. Yes, unfortunately the goblet did break, Jamie, yeah. Okay, so we've got to the stage now where we've sanded the inside. And there's me thinking I messed up there. That is actually a feature in the wood.
Camera.
Right, no, okay, I'm just looking at something. We're having 2 minutes. I just want to catch up and say hello to everybody. My mask is off, unfortunately. Hello, Brian, Hartwood Turning, and everybody else I've missed. Due to circumstances beyond my control, totally in Mark's control, but he's too livid to do anything about it, Mark won't be able to join us on my next live, which I'm hoping is going to be next Sunday, because although I'm working on the Monday, I don't start till very late because I'm on midnight. So to bore you all to death again, I shall be doing a live next Sunday with Pete Ravenscroft, not Mark, because he can't make it, because, you know, and so I was going to ask Brian of Hartwood Turning whether he would do me the honour of earworming for me next Sunday. So I'm doing that in public, so it's going to be very difficult for him to say no unless he's got a prior engagement. Right. So, change camera. Oh, yes, I shall change camera now. Get rid of this. Oh, there you go. Okay. So, now, the next thing I'm going to do is sanding sealer. Now, this is a pre-thinned sanding sealer from Hampshire Sheen. You can make your own if you wish, as I used to, but I'm getting lazy. So I use this. And don't ask me what the mix is, because I have no idea. Now, normally I would use Yorkshire grit as well, but as I've explained, I'm going to enhance this bowl. How could you enhance perfection? No, I'm going to enhance this bowl with an embellishing wax, which will highlight the grain. Now, as I said earlier on, the grain on this ash is not too bad on this particular piece. It's quite noticeable, if you like, especially when you put sanding sealer on and everything else. But to enhance it even more, you can embellish it. You could colour it, but you know me and colour, especially on film. I don't dislike colour at all. Please don't get me wrong. It's just not something I do very often, if ever. Okay, so that is the sanding sealer. So now we have to let that dry. And denib it, because you don't normally denib. You don't need to denib when you're using Yorkshire grit, because Yorkshire grit does that for you. So let that dry for a couple of minutes, and if you have any questions or anything, I can answer those. I noticed Brian
Brian
hasn't.
said yes.
Oh God. I was praying. No, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it, mate. So next week it'll be me, Pete, and Brian.
It's okay, mate. We'll send him a copy of the contract. You don't have to worry about it.
No, it'll be in the clause. I think it's paragraph.
Yeah, we'll send him our version of the contract.
All right, okay. It's like, yeah, do what you want. Is that the one? I will do what I want when I want to, says Mark, and I quite agree with you. Dave Rothwell, when the demo is done, I will to crack on with 4 gift I'm bringing for family in the NHS. Oh, lovely. All made from lignin vitae. Whoa, the tree of life. Thank you for all their efforts. Well done, Dave. Very magnanimous.
What size bowl gouge do you use most often?
If I'm honest, my 1/2 inch. I use my 1/2 inch a lot. I'm using a 3. I used a 3/8 on this because not everybody's got a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. But there are several things that I do or have done on this bowl that I don't normally do when I'm turning for myself. I normally swivel the headstock, and I normally use my 1/2 inch bowl gouge. But you know, it's the 3/8 bowl gouge is more than capable of doing 99% of your work, as I've said many times before. I mean, Ed Oliver, Martin Saber Smith all use 3/8, and you know, Ed's turned some massive stuff with his 3/8 bowl gouge. It's all to do with the speed at which your tool goes through the wood, and the speed of the work, etc., etc. And as Martin says, quite coyly, but I agree with him, if your tool control is good, you can do anything with the 3/8 spindle gouge, and 3/8 bowl gouge, and I don't disagree with him. So, okay, that's gone. So I'll just use, you can use an iWeb, etc. I've always used Scotch pad, not because I'm tight, it's because I had some and I've always used it, but I don't use it very often now because I use Yorkshire grit normally. Okay, so just spin him up, just to denib. No pressure really, just nice and gentle, just to get rid of any. You can feel it, it's nice and smooth. Okay. Now, you don't have to do this, but this is a bronze brush. Just on the grain, just very lightly, just to lift the grain. You're not going to be messing up your finish, especially my finish. You can't really mess up a messed up finish, can you? And all this does is just open up the grain a bit to accept the embellishing wax. You can just clean that out, any loose fibers that might be in there. Now I'm going to do the rim as well, so it can be hopefully more noticeable. Okay, so just get a clean paper towel. I could actually zoom out a bit for this, I think. Ooh. Just zoom out a little bit. Okay, so a clean paper towel, and don't be stingy, but don't put loads on, and you need to work it in. I mean, really work it in. And don't be tight. And I've had these a long time.
He's had that pot for 10 years.
I think I've had it for about 6, actually. It's purely and simply that I very rarely do anything apart from au naturel. But I have to say, and you know, I've always said that there is plenty of room for colour and plenty of room for enhancing your work. But I happened to do it, I don't know, about a month, 6 weeks ago, just messing about, and I really like the effect, especially on something like ash, where unless it's olive ash, where the grain is really pronounced. This just adds a little dimension without taking away the natural aspect. But it does take a little bit of fiddling around to get it in everywhere.
Mike, we've been asked in the chat by somebody called Priere, was that a liming brush?
Yes, it was. Oh, sorry, I just said a bronze brush. Yes, it was a bronze bristled liming brush, yeah.
Okay.
I have to be honest, I don't always use it for this.
Oh, really?
No. And I
Didn't show.
Look, you. Shut it. I can't. You see, all this colouring and enhancing is not new to me, but it's foreign to me, if you like. And I can't get my head around when you and you know, please don't get bored, but I can't get my head around the fact that when you've sanded to 600, yeah, then you take a bristle to it, and it's gonna scratch the rest of the piece. But it obviously doesn't, especially the way I use it, as Mark said. Thank you very much, Mark.
Right.
But nevertheless, if nothing else, I prove the fact you don't need a liner brush to get to get this effect. Okay, but what you do need to do.
I do like bronze on ash. It does.
Yeah, bronze. I tried it on a scrap with I think it was turquoise or something, and it looked hideous. It was too much like colour. All this does, I think, in my opinion, which is not worth much really, it just enhances the natural side of it. Okay.
Steve Riley's just joined us. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. Welcome.
Hi, Steve. Nice to see you. Even though we can't actually see you, but
no,
you know what we mean.
Well, you see, you've gone about me and my liming brush, but your powers of you can already see, I think, in this, if I come up a bit closer, because it's washed out a bit with the contrast, you can see, although it's nice, that has really, there's a few little bits which need a bit more, because the thing is that the other thing with doing this, there are going to be areas that are going to take more colour. I take this more readily than others. So the softer parts are not going to take it quite as readily. So there we go. All right, so we'll leave that now. Just let that go off a little bit like you would with your wax, because it is a wax essentially. And we'll see the difference when I've buffed it up between that and the back.
And Mark Stratton's just joined us as well. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Good evening. And TJ Turning. Good evening to you, Terry. How are you?
He's been in for ages.
Yeah, but no one told me. You see, the thing is, Terry,
he came back from his holiday and he came in.
No, that is sad, Tej. What I would say to you is that my pit crew, as they like to call themselves, are a little bit hoi polloi, a little bit flight of fancy. They don't always do what they're paid to do, you know.
How very dare you?
And well, possibly because they're not paid anything, they don't do anything.
I was going to say.
Yeah, so
you pay us, we'll earn it.
Yeah, I doubt that, Mark. There's just no potential there, mate. No potential. And I am joking. I'm eternally grateful. And I'll say something to everybody here now without fear of contradiction. Since these guys have been with me, I've enjoyed my lives a lot more, because if there are problems, like technical problems, like we had a mini technical problem earlier on, it's sorted out in minutes. And even the one that we had a month ago was a major problem, wasn't it, Pete? But
it was a major problem, yeah, but it was out of our control. So.
Exactly, but we did get through it. But if I'd been on my own, I'd been under a panic attack, you know. So I have a panic attack every time Mark comes on, but it's purely and simply because you just never know what he's going to do. You know, he's going to say things about me, you know, about the lack of liming brush etiquette and ability. Well, I did polish my boots with it before I went to work last week. Maybe that's got something to do with it. Okay, just give it another minute or so, and then we'll buff it up. I think we can do it now. I think we'll do it now, actually. Okay, so sort of on 1,000 revs, something of that ilk. Now, something I've learnt or was told in a video many years ago by Mr. Sabensmith, when you're doing any wax burnishing, work from the inside out. And that reduces, and Mark, I say reduces, the risk of streaking. You can see here that I'm getting deposits of it, and that's really excess. I will give it a final buff in a minute as well. This is just to even it out, hopefully. And we can leave that there like that, and I will give it a final buff in a couple of minutes. But the beauty of anything like this, and as I say, Ham Sheen, and I'm sure other companies as well, have a range of colours available, and most of them will have a starter pack, which is what this is. It's a starter pack, and I've just started using it. No, I have used it before, but not very often. But I think there are instances with things like ash, if the figure isn't really prominent, and things like sycamore as well will take. And oak, although it's a hardwood, oak also takes embellishing waxes very well because of the grain, the nature of the grain. So practice or experiment on various woods. It just gives it a slightly different take, if you like, on nature's beauty.
We've had Mark's wooden shed has joined, Mark's Strawton has joined, and Baz from Real Simple Things has joined.
Hello, Baz. Hello, Mark, and welcome. And I'm sure I've forgotten to say hello to some people, and if I have, please accept my apologies. Basically, as I've explained, my pit crew have got their mind on other things. But I can understand that. Well, I know one of them has anyway, but the thing is, Mark hasn't told you, he's been to a clinic and he's been to an aging, lack of aging operation because he's looking 10 years younger lately, and I think it must be some sort of operation. Oh, I wouldn't do that on. I wouldn't do that. Yes,
you're on screen,
yeah.
Mark.
This is not a private chat, Mark.
I was on screen.
I won't apologise to Mark. No wonder he's not in next week. He's now been sacked from the pit crew because I'll get loads of comments on that. So, seeing that Mark's done that, I'm going to have a vape on camera as well. We've got to get a hung, lads. We might as well get a hung together.
Bother. You did deserve that, though.
No. I'll tell you what pleases me. We've had a good chat. It's only been an hour and 25 minutes to do half a bowl. But I have explained what I've been doing. Okay, so I'll just cut to the chase again, and we'll just give that a final buffing. And then we'll take it off, and you can see the difference between one end and the other. And then we'll take the foot off, if you want to hang about for me to do that.
Can I just explain to the people who can't see Pete? He's actually fallen off his chair laughing.
I can imagine he has, yeah.
I do apologise, everyone. If I offended anybody, I do apologise.
He doesn't really care, but he is apologising.
Thanks, Channels. I don't really care, no, but I do apologise.
What you mustn't forget is Mark is an ex-bus driver. I'm a current bus driver, and really, we are pretty thick-skinned, and sometimes we forget our manners and where we are.
Bus drivers have manners removed, I thought.
Well, yeah.
Part of the training.
Well, yeah. I mean, the extent. Before I say anything else, so there's the finished piece inside and out. Obviously, you have to take the foot off. I will do that if you so wish. But
yeah, go for it.
If I come to facial, as I said, the back, this is what I did last week, the back has got quite pronounced figure, but if you look at the difference there, whoops, where are we? It's not on the right there. It is really slightly different color. It's a bit darker, and the grain is enhanced that little bit more, in my opinion. So it is good. It just has a darker hue. The camera, that camera's not picking it up so well. If I go to this camera, that should do it. If I turn that light off, then, and you go here, you can see that there's a completely different hue to that. That's richer almost. And I like it. I like the effect. Okay, now for taking...
One thing, right, before you
yeah,
take the foot off,
yeah,
embellishing wax isn't a finishing wax. You should really wax it properly as well.
yes, I was going to say, what you should do on top of that, I thought I said that. No, I didn't. I beg your pardon. What you should do on top of this now is to either put a wax of your choice as a top coat wax. Okay, it will do, but it won't resist and won't be as resistant as it should be. So either a microcrystalline wax or the wax of your choice on top as a final coat. Well point. I'll tell you what, because this is a finished job and we haven't been going, I'll do it. It's no good talking about it. You might as well do it.
Get it done.
Get it done, lad. Get it finished.
Change
Okay.
camera.
Basically, it's just the hardness of the wax.
Yeah.
These embellishing waxes are quite soft.
It's like Yorkshire grit, if you like, with regards to people say, oh, I get a nice shine off Yorkshire grit. Is it okay as a final finish? Answer, no. It is not resistant. It is not meant to be a final finish. It is meant to cut down on the sanding.
It's an abrasive paste. That's all
exactly, and to give a nice finish. So again, I always think with wax, less is more. I'm just going to put one coat on. If this was going to somebody, I might put 2 coats on. This is the Hampshire Sheen High Gloss. I would most probably put a microcrystalline wax on top of this as well to give it that extra protection, if you like. You can see, I don't know if the camera will pick that, there's a bit coming off, which would do anyway. So that proves the point, as Pete was saying, it is not a final coating. Okay, so we'll let that go for another couple of minutes. That's the problem with doing a finished piece when I'm doing it. All the different little bits you do all takes time, but it does take time. You know, at the end of the day, when you're in your workshop...
It's scientifically proven that when you're in a live, you have to do it quick.
Yes.
In reality, it takes 12 minutes to let the solvent evaporate out of the wax.
Yeah.
Before it's perfect.
And that's the time.
12 minutes has been worked out exactly because that's how long it takes to walk from my workshop to my kitchen, make a coffee, and get back to the workshop.
Exactly.
So that's the right time.
Mm-hmm. And if and I'm not being, I am being cynical here, the gentleman that made a comment on one of my videos about me talking too much and explaining things too much, just get on with it. That's what I do. I like to explain what I'm doing, rightly or wrongly. That's why I do it, and that's the reason I do it. So if you're watching and you're getting bored of me explaining and you're getting bored for me waiting for the wax to dry, move on.
Andy H is returning, has just joined.
Andy H, how are you? I'm going to take this off because, surprisingly enough, it's rather warm in here. What have we got?
Dario Kals has joined, and he's just asked, what do you use for food safe finishing then, Mike?
If I want something food safe, I would normally use food safe Danish oil. But I'd be quite honest with you. I have got, I mean, not for eating out of, but putting fruit in and stuff like that. High Gloss, I've used it for years, never had a problem.
Safe.
Yeah.
High Gloss is food safe.
Yeah, that is now food safe, but I was using it when it wasn't food safe.
Well, and it
still didn't kill anybody.
It's always been food safe, but it's just had it certified as food safe now.
Exactly. I think the thing
recipe
is,
hasn't changed.
Quite a few years ago, there was quite a heated debate on social media regarding what is a food safe finish. And what I gleaned from experts who've had far more experience than me, and also doing research on my own, virtually every finish, bar a few, is food safe when it's cured. And there's a
Yes.
difference of something being dry and having cured. Something might be dry in 24 hours, but it might take a week or 2 weeks to cure. So let's not split hairs. I'm not saying, you can go out and you can put, I don't know, disinfectant on your bowl, and when it's dry and when it's cured, it's safe. What I'm saying is that all finishes, the majority of finishes, are food safe when they're cured, and there is a definite difference between dry and cured. It's
There's
like
also a
glue.
big difference between food safe as in dry food like a fruit bowl,
Hmm.
and food safe as in wet food like a
Yes,
cereal bowl where you're putting water or milk in it and scraping it with a spoon, which is a
exactly.
different process altogether.
Yeah, indeed. And a lot of people use mineral oil,
Yeah.
a butcher's block oil or what have you, which has to be replenished, obviously. But that really never, mineral oil, from what I understand, never really dries properly or never cures. So you've always got that oil there protecting the wood to an extent. It's like when people say, when you do goblets, if you want to use a goblet, what do you coat it with on the inside? Well, I've never drunk out of anything I've made because they won't stand up because they're in two parts. But no, if
If you
you
have a hole in the bottom.
yeah, I mean they're there to be looked at, not to be used. If you use, you can get a myriad of different proprietary brands of water or liquid resistant, but 9 times out of 10 they'll say, except don't use red wine because it'll stain it. I mean, no, I don't think there's any finish available. I might be wrong, that you can apply to wood that will allow you to use it as you would a glass. You have to,
Rusting's plastic coat comes close, but it is plastic.
yes, yeah,
If you like drinking out of plastic, that's fine.
yeah. I personally would rather have my goblet stained with wine or whatever, as long as it doesn't leak. That's all that matters. But and somebody said, can you use you to drink out of? Yes, you can, apparently. But okay, why? There are so many other woods you can make a goblet out of. Why has it got to be out of you? Which is a little bit sort of on the cusp of whether it's safe or not, how long it's got to be, what you coat it with, and so on. But those are the sort of debates that will go on for years and years and years.
The other thing with you is, it always amazes me. Yes, it's toxic, but quite honestly, how much of you would you have to digest or ingest or absorb
Yeah,
before you became ill?
yeah,
You'd be like half a tree.
indeed.
You're not gonna
But
According to Kew Gardens, yew timber, as opposed to yew leaves or yew berries, is not massively toxic.
no, it's the berries and the leaves.
If you put red wine into it in particular, the acid in the wine will put out any toxins that are in there. It's a toxin called taxin B,
Hmm.
to the extent that it can be toxic.
Yeah.
And it's just daft to do it, really.
Yeah.
Good for looking at. It's not good for drinking out of or eating out of.
No.
But again, in a fruit bowl situation, it's probably not going to hurt you.
And the other thing as well is that I've heard people say, oh, well, if I want a good water-resistant finish, I'll use resin or even CA glue. Now, to me, just a personal thing, if I coated my goblet on the inside with CA glue, I would always in the back of my mind think, I've got glue in here, and it's a psychological thing. But
What's
it's not.
glue? Glue is an amalgam of chemicals.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but when it has cured,
Yeah.
unless it comes in contact with something that will make it react, it lies dormant. But there's so much in there that could be released with coming into contact with something you might not be aware of. It's not worth the choice. It's not worth the chance. I mean, somebody told me that a tooth fall out, and before the dentist could do anything about it, he couldn't eat, so he stuck it in with super glue. And yeah, fine, okay. Did you swallow any? I doubt it, because that wouldn't be very good. But I can't understand why people want to try that. Yes, you can do a lot of things, but why if you don't have to? You know, if it's not an essential thing. That's me. I'm a coward, I suppose. That's what it is.
I go
But
to a pub and they give me my pint in a plastic glass. It never tastes quite as good.
no.
And all of these finishes are plastic.
Yes.
So,
Rough pubs you go to then, Pete.
well, yeah, some of these pubs, they got plastic.
It's where most of the inmates go, Mark, I think. Right,
True.
okay.
It's
We go
Bristol after all.
back to this. This is the final coating of wax. You can put as many coatings on as you wish, obviously. This is just Hampshire Sheen High Gloss on top of... It does help to turn your lathe on. I must get a lathe that actually you just turn the speed dial and it comes on. I thought, oh no, I've got a power cut now. Okay, so again, the same principle from the inside to the outside. No excessive pressure. You don't want to melt the wax as such. If you melt it too much and it gets too hot, you get streaking. And that's the same with any wax. You just want to burnish it nicely. And there you go. So you've now got your embellishing wax enhancing the grain, and you've got a protective coating, for want of a better word, of a high gloss wax on top as well. Okay, thanks for that, Pete, mentioning that. Very important. So now there are several ways of removing the foot. You can either use a set of button jaws, which I most probably will use. The other way is to use a friction drive, and there are various friction drives out there. Rubber Chucky make a very nice arrangement of that. That is a cone which I can use as a friction drive, put that into the headstock. This comes out, so I can also have this in a live center, so you can use that both ways. For many years I have this little chappy, which is also a good thing, and all it is a piece of wood on the inside which I turned to a dome, covered it in some old cloth, and just put a bit of masking, tape on the outside, glued that to a piece of wood here, which I actually used a Beal tap, which is this is M33, the same as my lathe, so that screws straight onto the lathe. Now, again, in the interests of fairness, I suppose, not everybody's got button jaws. I was going to use them, but what I'll do is I'll use this method because anybody can apply this method. If you haven't got a Beal tap, all you have to do is to turn this and then turn a spigot or a tenon on the back of it that'll fit into your chuck, and then you can just place it in your chuck, and there you have a friction drive. Okay, so we'll go back to this
Like
again.
both you and I have done, Mike, you can stick a nut into the wood.
Oh yes, yeah. Funny enough, okay, going on to that, I've got here a series of glue chucks that I use, and this was to prove a point. You can see here the end or the wood that was attached, glue joint, perfectly sound.
I remember when you did that.
Yeah, I did that, and I smacked it, and the wood stayed glued. It's just the wood gave way. So that's how the integrity of, I was trying to prove the integrity of a glue joint, if you like, if applied properly. Inside there is a nut, an M33 nut. I've got 4 of these, and when that goes to a certain level, all I do is glue another piece on. So I've got infinitum. Yes, so that is another way of doing it, Pete. I quite agree. The only problem is, when I bought those, they were really quite reasonable, but people are saying now that they're very expensive to get an M33 nut. How true that is, I don't know. So, back to the cam. Again, just take off the chuck. Okay, so we're going to put this one in. Just thread that on. And then I think I mentioned at the beginning, when you're going to take your foot off, always make sure that you keep the center point or make a center point there. For this operation, then that means you can center it up as near as you possibly can. It doesn't matter what sort of center you use. I would not advise using a center like that, which is a sharp center there, because it can dig in and it can actually split the wood. That's my own personal opinion. This center here has a taper at the end, so it can't really go into the wood forever, if you like. It does have a point of stopping. Okay, so we just line that up, and then it's really a case of seeing how it looks. And that looks pretty good, because sometimes the diameter of your cone and that won't be sufficient to make you've got to move the bowl about a bit to get it right, but at least you know it's on the center on the base. Not a massive amount of pressure needed.
Robert Dolman's got to go. See you later, Robert.
See you, Robert. That could do with just a little bit of alteration. It just needs seating on there slightly differently. Obviously the center is still the center on the base. Yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough. Okay, so the idea now is to make sure that you obviously make an undercut so it sits nicely on the table. Now, Pete mentioned something after the last one, and I totally agreed with him, and I'll just go to the overhead to show you that the profile here isn't really that brilliant. Well, no, I was going to start here, so it will carry the shape on, and the foot will start about this area here. So that's what the next job is, to do that. Now, if I go onto that one, you can see both things happening. Now, for this, you could use anything actually, but I'm using a 1/2 inch spindle gouge for this. And again, you don't need massive speed, just light cuts, just to remove the foot. A little bit quicker than that, maybe. The thing is, if you use button jaws, of course, most manufacturers, I know that Axeman's to do on these, and I've had these a long time, a maximum of 600 revs. And I look at that a little bit cynically without tailstock support. If you've got tailstock support, you can increase it from that, I think, personally.
But of course, we wouldn't recommend that you do.
No. And we just got to go a little bit further here. I think that's just about there, Peter. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now obviously you can't take away the tailstock because you'll have no drive. So now you just want to get this as small as you possibly can. And then it's a case of taking off and either sanding by hand, or if you have a Jacob's chuck, put a Jacob's chuck, which I'll do very briefly, I won't go through the whole process, into your headstock and manually hold your bowl. And I shall now go to my 3/8 spindle gouge or detail gouge, just to get that down into a little cone, if you like. So I've got the least amount to chisel off. And again, I'm not being funny, it doesn't matter if it takes you a bit of time, because the more time you take, the more care you take, the better the end product's going to be. I know this is a demo, and all I'm doing here is showing you one of the methods.
Oh, it's been a very good demo, though, Mike.
He's got to say that because he's not in next week.
This is true.
Yeah, that's my contractual obligation fulfilled for another night.
As we're approaching the final stages of this, once again I need to pass through the audience with my pint glass. Let me just remind you, top of the chat, there's a link to buy me a coffee. If you've enjoyed what you've seen and would like to support Mike's channel, then that's the place to do it.
So what I do here, rather than breaking that off, because what you could do is pull out the fibres. So just get a sharp chisel. My sharp chisel is not in easy reach, so I shall use a cheap sharp chisel. Make sure your hands are nowhere near it, and then just go around and take him off. And I know it takes a bit of time.
This is another good opportunity
There
to
we go.
use a skew.
And that comes, yeah, you could use a skew as well. And just go with the grain there. Just rub that in a bit, and then you will sand. And again, I won't go through the whole process, but I can show you what I do, and it is really effective. All you do is, you can do it by hand, obviously, with a power drill. If you put your Jacob's chuck into your headstock, and then
Benjamin says, and I quote, "It's been a great demo, Mike. Seems to run more smoothly when masking tape isn't involved."
Well, actually, just to prove
do you want
a
me to
point,
put him in timeout?
just to prove a point, look, masking tape, yeah. Now, when you're doing masking tape, always don't do it this way. Always do it that way. Okay? Always do it that way. There we go. Look, masking tape breaking.
You've been told by the masking tape companies to stop doing this.
I know.
It's embarrassing. They're not impressed.
I know. But I am, and I'm going to go to the overhead very quickly. I'll get loads of comments now, and I'm just going to put a little smiley face. There we go. How's that? All right. That's my mark. So again, I'm fortunate because over the years I have got a lot of different size arbors, and this is ideal. It's a 34mm arbor, and it means I get less chance of going here. And I'm not going to do the lot because I'll have to turn the extractor on and everything and put the face mask on. And literally then, very lightly, you just sand away through the grits and till you've got the desired surface. But make sure when you're doing that, you do it evenly, because what will happen is you'll get a little dip one way and it won't sit straight. So apart from doing that, I think...
Buster West has got to leave us. Cheers, Buster.
See you, Buster. All the best. One finished bowl. So that's it. Any questions? No, that's good. That means that the pit crew have done their job. Even mark. Yeah, done their job. I'll bring the pit crew back in. And again, small apologies for the slight technical hitch in the beginning. But I do feel that OBS sometimes, if you don't use it for a while, it sort of goes back to default. And I've had it happen before. But I hope you enjoyed that.
Error.
Sorry, operator error. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So.
I'm just being very careful not to speak so I don't come onto camera.
Oh, you're there. It's actually not the speaking, it's the actions, Mark, which are the problem when you're speaking. If you're going to make those actions, do it when you're not speaking, then nobody can see it, and you can say to me when we have
Like
our.
Like Pete is now.
Yeah. that was quality.
It's difficulties then not to crack up laughing.
Yeah, that was quality, absolute quality. That was. I think Mark was actually embarrassed, and it's not something
It
that
was.
Yeah, he
I
took a
was.
good shade of red.
he did, didn't he? I thought it was the hue on my computer screen, but it wasn't. It was Mark genuinely flaming up.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to tell you guys, I mean, most of you, looking at all the names here, most of you are regulars, so you know me well enough. So I can say this. Somebody actually said to me, do I spend all my time talking and drinking Coke on my lives? And I said, well, I do spend quite a lot of time talking. Um, I was going to be tongue in cheek. I was going to do a poll and ask how many people would like me to stop talking during my live demos.
367%.
Yeah, and I was a bit worried that I'd get the answer I wasn't looking for, so I didn't do it. No, you take me for what I am. But yeah, I hope especially the newer turners and the beginner turners got something from that. As I say, I do intend to do a live next Sunday as well, so I'm not sure what I'll be turning yet. Mark won't be with us, unfortunately, but Pete will be with us, and Brian has confirmed that Brian of Hartwood Turning has confirmed that he will be with us, which is great, which means we have an Englishman, a Scotsman living in Ireland, and a Welshman living in England. It's wonderful. So it would be an international flavour.
How very cosmopolitan of you.
Yeah, cosmic, not politan. Quick question, Terry. There's a trick with masking tape. If you put some around your chuck and stick it to itself with a 1/2 inch sticking out, then if you get too close, the tape will hit you before your fingers hit the chuck.
It's a good trick, that.
That's a good trick. Yeah. That's a very good idea. The trouble I've got is, Brian, it won't stay on long enough. But yeah, Terry, rather. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's excellent. I do like, is it the Sorby, the Patriot trucks have got that rubber band or that rubber around it, which is a good idea. But as far as the chuck carriages, they should never really stick above the body of the chuck. And I think they do a lot of more damage if you get hit with those. Then, I mean, okay, it's no good if you hit the chuck. But I see a lot of people when they're turning, and the carriages are that far proud of the body. It's like a spoke of a wheel, which means obviously that you've got an incorrect tenon size. But yeah, that's a great idea.
To be honest, I do that. I've got the SK114.
Yeah.
But I've also got a 100mm old-fashioned version of the same chuck, which will take the same carriers, but they do stick out by 1/8 of an inch or so.
Yeah.
But I've never injured myself on it.
No, I have to say I've had a lot of errors occur over my 10 years of turning, but touch wood, up to now, I've cut my hand on the sharp edge of a bowl because I haven't softened the edge of the bowl, and I've split my finger, and that's like a paper. That really does hurt. But I haven't actually caught my knuckles yet. Famous last words. I'm sure it'll happen. And when it does, I'll be the first to tell you. Hopefully it'll be okay, as I don't really want to do tomorrow night. Oh, Brian is riddled with the plague. Oh, I tell you what, people.
COVID.
I woke up this morning, and I've had the COVID test kit for about, 3 months, and I've only used it once. And I woke up this morning. I went to bed last night with a really bad throat, and I felt really grotty when I woke up this morning, and I was touch and go about doing tonight. And I'm sure a lot of it was psychological. I thought, God, I bet I got COVID because my nose was running, and common cold, you wouldn't think twice. So I did the test, and it was clear. And funny enough, I'm sure a couple of anodins, and I was all right. But I don't think it hurts to do the test every now and again. just to make sure. But yeah, I did feel ropey. It might be the smell off those sleepers I got.
That could be it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just show the people a small section of this. It is Jarrah, by the way. I'm
Did we?
100%.
Yeah, we did. I was going to say, did we confirm whether it was Judder or not?
That is an old sleeper. It's only a small part. I've got another two bigger bits than this, but that is, you can see there's some form of a joint there, obviously. But yeah, it'll be interesting turning. But as somebody said, it's not so much the creosote, and this hasn't been creosoted, I'm pretty sure, because it hasn't sort of ingressed into the wood at all. Because with Jarrah, they didn't treat it. It was the softer woods they did. But it's not that so much. It's all the God knows how many years worth of human excrement and whittle
Diesel.
and bodies and diesel and oil and that's on there. So yeah, but I will be turning it. But I shall be wearing all the respiratory equipment I can get my hands on, I assure you. And the garage doors will be wide open as well. I'll have a fan behind me blowing it out. So, and if my poor wife's doing the weeding, she'll get it all. And I'll be okay. Yeah, so that was given to me by one of my stepsons, and he does come up with some weird stuff sometimes, and he wants a bowl out of it. And I said, if I survive it, I'll get him a bowl. But there you go. Okay, people. Quick question. I have a test tomorrow, as someone in London must have got too close to me, and I have been told by the app. Oh dear. Oh right. Okay.
Well, Terry, take the test, but there's no excuse. You're still doing your live.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's only using it as an excuse to get out of doing his live at lunchtime. Not going to work, Terry.
The thing is, I've heard a lot of stories about this app, because the thing is, you could actually be in a place where somebody has had COVID. Are you having an official test, Terry? You know, proper NHS test, not your home test. I will be back. I'm just taking me. Well, you got Mark on there at the moment.
Behave yourself now, because I'm on camera.
Yeah. If anybody wants one of these very special smiley Jacob's Chucks, just drop me an email and I'll get one off in the post to you.
Like John McGuire's asking, what's the badge say above your name?
I can't repeat it. It's
this way.
It actually says Lathe. Oh, there, Lathe Riders.
Lathe Riders.
Yeah. That and this was given to a few of us by Jamie Page, who was on earlier on at Maker Central 2018. So I am part of the Lathe Riders Club. It's like a Hell's Angels club without a motorbike. So yeah, that's what that is. I have another sign I made actually, but I can't. Can I show it? No, I can't. I was advised not to use it because it could offend professional turners. I did something as a joke. Can I show that to you? Yeah, I think I can.
Jamie says I look like Patrick Swayze in Ghost.
Can you, excuse me, you've got to feel sick now. No, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Right, can you see that there? That sign, rat?
Yep.
It's Register of Amateur Turners, and of course the tool rest is upside down. And I did that as a joke, and I had a little badge I made and stuck it on my thing. And I was told by somebody who will remain nameless that could upset a few professional turners. And I said, well, and in no way was I intending to upset anybody. It was just done as a bit of a joke, you know. So it's amazing.
People get upset by jokes. It just deserve to be upset.
How sensitive people can be, you know. So I just leave it up there and look at it every now and again and have a bit of a laugh.
I get to tell Kim in a minute what I did earlier. She's going to laugh herself silly.
Yeah. Well, I'm disgusted, to be honest with you, Mark. Absolutely disgusted. Okay, fellas and guys, if Mark looks like Patrick Swayze in Ghost, the light is coming to get him. Yeah. Nice one, Jamie. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jamie's right. Jamie's saying that it was Dave Capasandon, not him. Ah, I thought it was you, Jamie. No, that's right. Dave Capasandon, who has sort of fallen off the planet a little bit as far as wood turning is concerned. He and Jamie and I think it was Martin and a couple of others were sort of drinking together on a regular basis, and he gave that. In actual fact, I'm not sure if it was at Makers or was it UKIS. I think it was at UKIS, wasn't it, Jamie? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's what it is. It's an exclusive club called the Lathe Riders.
Brad,
Yeah, Brian's saying that he came into contact. He tested positive, and Michelle came back negative. It's amazing. Yep. Okay, I had to wear a badge of UKIS saying not Dave. Oh yeah, that's true, Jamie. Yeah, yeah. There is a difference though, because you're a little bit more. How can one say? A little more bulky than Dave. Let's put it that way, Jamie. Shall we?
robust.
Robust. That's a good tool rest there, mate. Excellent. Okay, guys, I think that just about covers it. And I don't think anybody else has got any more questions. And if if that is the case, I will thank you all very, very much for turning up and coming in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the demo. I'd like to thank Mark and Pete, who would say goodbye to you.
Goodbye.
Bye all. Change the picture. It'll change in a minute. It will.
Yeah.
Bye all.
And once again, thank you all very much for coming. And I look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. And will I be turning? I don't know. You take care now. All the best. Cheers. Stream ended.